Hello, thank you for tuning into another episode of Take 10 on Tuesday with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Jason Luntz. Today is a very special weekend in Nashville. We are celebrating another Meharry commencement, and we actually have the keynote speaker here today. I'm with the former Surgeon General and 8th President of Meharry Medical College, Dr. David Satcher. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, and it's great to be with you.
Yes, we really appreciate. We heard you were in town. We know you're busy, but we said you had to stop by because our viewers and our readers definitely would love to hear your perspective on many things.
Well, I'm very pleased to be back.
Thank you so much. And actually, that's the first thing I want to ask you. How does it feel to be back in Nashville?
Well, I've had a lot of different positions in my career, and I think I've probably spent longer in Nashville than anywhere else I've been.
Wow.
And my children sort of grew up here. And I really got involved in the Nashville community. We were a part of the Nashville community, so I just have a special feeling for Nashville.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you're here as the keynote speaker for Meharry Medical College. One thing that I was curious is, how important is it to have an HBCU presence in the medical college field?
I think it's very important. I think we need diversity. That's the first thing, and I think we still don't have enough diversity in medicine or dentistry or in the health professions generally. So I think historically black colleges and universities have demonstrated the ability to educate a diverse group of students. Mm-hmm. There are students, especially black students, who are turned down by other institutions and accepted by one of our institutions and then go on to do better than those other students.
Oh, wow.
Later on exams. So our institutions provide a kind of environment, a kind of culture and support that has been demonstrated to really make a difference. Now, I think it's critical that we be diverse. I think we have to have white students too, Asian students and Hispanics, and I think our faculty needs to be diverse. Mm-hmm. But I think America needs a diversity of health professional institutions.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. One thing I do love about, since I've been in Nashville, is when I see a African American doctor or dentist, and I found out that they attended Meharry. It's something that I have a lot of pride being in Nashville.
It's such a rich history. It's amazing. It's a rich history, and I don't think until this day it's been done justice. What this institution has contributed to the nation and the world.
Yes, and that's one thing that we believe in here, and we continue to want to tell the story of Meharry. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting that you came back here to speak tomorrow. Can I get a little hint of what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I think this phase of my life, which is sort of the phase when I'm moving toward retirement, I have chosen to focus on helping young people to develop leadership skills. Mm-hmm. So I direct the Satcher Health Leadership Institute at the Morehouse School of Medicine, and we serve people from all over the country with our 3 leadership development programs. We have one for health professionals, one for community health leaders, and one for parents, the Quality Parenting Program. So it's sort of what I do these days. Mm-hmm. Not because I'm an expert in leadership, but I consider myself a serious student of leadership. And I think I have the ability to help young people, some not so young people, to develop leadership skills. I mean, even if I just share with them all the mistakes I've made, it would be a whole course.
A whole course on that? Yeah. Well, you have to make mistakes to find success. That's what I've always been told. Mm-hmm. Now, with the Leadership Institute, how important is it to have diversity within the medical field leadership?
I think it's critical. We serve a diverse population. And with diverse cultures, diverse histories, we need health profession schools that reflect that diversity. Now, more and more, these institutions have to cooperate with each other, and more the people we serve have to be diverse. But I think we need an institution like Meharry reflecting a critical history that many people just don't appreciate. Mm-hmm. But we want students who come through here, and students who may not come through here, to appreciate the richness of that history and what it means to the history of medicine and the future of medicine.
Yes, that's perfect. Now, with the Institute, you also mentioned focusing on parenthood. How important is that to the general health of the African American community?
I think it's critical. Now, I grew up in a home where neither of my parents finished elementary school, and However, they were really committed to the education of their children, and they were people of faith. So we went to church every Sunday. My dad, after he learned to read, became superintendent of Sunday school for like 25 years, but because of what they gave us in terms of their commitment to education, because of their attitude toward life, they were hopeful because of their faith, and so that's what I got from them. And as they used to tell me, if you stay in school and work hard, you can go anywhere you want to go. And I have been places I never would have dreamed of.
Yes.
And they were here, by the way, when I was sworn in as president of Meharry.
Oh, they were here.
They were both sitting up right in the front row.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. October 1982, right?
That's right. Okay.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. So having parents together and creating a foundation that can do a lot for us.
Yeah, they're both deceased now, but it was rich. So I said all that to say, we believe that one of the greatest contributions that we can make is to actually help parents to enhance their skills at raising their children. We believe that parents know a lot, and so at the Satcher Leadership Institute, one of our mottos is that at this institute, everybody teaches and everybody learns. However, we believe that we can help them to understand child development, the brain and its development between 0 and 5, and what you can do to enhance that, why nutrition is important, why having conversation with your children as early as possible, sharing music with your children, how all of these communication skills are something that parents can do. They may not have thought it was important, but they have the ability to do it. And we feel very good about that program. However, our attitude has been that it's not enough to feel good. So from the beginning, we have been committed to measuring the impact. And so we do studies to see what differences that making. We even looked at depression in black women and found that the women in this program have a lower risk of depression than other women in the community. So NIH, because of our commitment to measuring outcome, have now funded us to replicate. NIH has funded us to replicate the program in 12 states, including Tennessee.
Including Tennessee?
Including Tennessee.
Wow. Well, maybe it'll be in this part of Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, or do you know yet, or are they still?
Well, it's just beginning, but I'm sure Nashville is a part of it. And I think Memphis.
And Memphis
may be the earliest city.
Well, there's some things in there you touched upon. You mentioned depression. Another question I had is mental health. I wanted to kind of switch gears on that. And I know that you're a big advocate for Alzheimer's studies and things of that nature. Why does there continue to be a stigma about mental health in the African American community?
Well, I think there's a stigma about mental health in all communities in this country, but I think it's worse in African American and Asians. And I think it has a lot to do with discrimination. I mean, if you have been discriminated against because of your race, you're not looking for another reason to be discriminated against, since mental health is an area of stigma in this country and in many places. So African Americans are less likely to seek outpatient treatment. In fact, only about a half as likely as white Americans. Asians are worse than African Americans when it comes to stigma with mental disorders. So we did the first report in '99. It was called Mental Health, a Report of the Surgeon General. We came back in 2001 and did a report entitled Mental Health, Culture, Race, and Ethnicity, and talked about the impact. Now, we said in that report that there's no evidence that African Americans are more likely to be mentally ill than others, but African Americans are more likely to suffer from mental illness, less likely to get the care that they need, and more likely to suffer the burden of mental disorders.
Okay. Okay. And what can we do to try to alleviate that issue?
Well, we're working I think we're making some progress, in fact. We have been very concerned about access to quality mental health care. And one of the things that we did two things. A few years ago, we volunteered to take over the mental health emergencies in the emergency room at Grady, one of the largest public hospitals in the country. Everybody thought we ourselves were out of our mind. But we did it. We got some support from the state of Georgia. And we demonstrated over 3 years that, number one, we could reduce the waiting time by 80%, that the people with health emergency went through, reduced the use of restraints dramatically, and also reduced costs by 40%. In terms of dealing, and the patient got better care. We tried to connect all of them to continuity of care using primarily the community health centers. And so that's worked out quite well. But again, because the program worked so well, Grady has now incorporated it into his system. So it's a part of his budget. They're very excited about it.
Part of the system? Oh, man, that's great.
Very much so.
That's great.
The other thing we're doing, and I'm saying we loosely because I have some really good people who do most of these things, we work with 10 community health centers around Atlanta, and we've been modeling integrating mental health in primary care because we believe that, the brain is a part of the body, and a checkup ought to include from the neck up.
Yeah.
So we push for primary care providers to partner with mental health specialists and make sure that people get comprehensive care, including mental health care.
All right. Well, that's great. I'm glad to see that you're fighting the good fight on that. It's an issue that we've talked about a lot here at the newspaper, so that's really great. I think before I let you go, the other question I had...
Well, let me mention one thing,
yes, please.
Because it's sort of newsworthy. Patrick Kennedy is the nephew of President John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
And he's the son of Senator Edward Kennedy, who died last year. Patrick and I worked together, after I released the first report, on getting legislation for equity of access to mental health services, parity, we called it. Now, it took almost 10 years before Congress actually passed parity, and then President Obama folded it into the Affordable Care Act. Patrick has had trouble with drugs. He's been going through addiction. He's got a lot of attention. He was a congressman who was addicted to drugs, including alcohol. But he's very open about that. He talks about it, talks about the kind of care that people need when they have a problem with drug addiction. And so Patrick and I came together about 6 months ago and decided to partner to make sure that people had better access to mental health services and equity in terms of quality. So in January, we had this conference in Washington called, I'm trying to remember what we called it, state of mental health in America. It was like a State of the Union message,
yes.
Except we were focusing on the state of mental health. There's just a major turnout of media for that. But I feel good about it. Patrick and I have been doing a lot of things together, traveling, speaking to audiences, doing some TV shows. But the purpose of it is to say, we're going to work to see that everybody, regardless of socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, is going to have access to quality mental health care, and I think we have an opportunity to make a difference here. I mean, Patrick, with his background, if you're Kennedy, everybody knows your name.
Yeah,
that's the first thing. But most people did not know that he had a problem.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that. But I mean, I've always looked at him as a really great up and coming leader. So it's good for him to step in the forefront and just be honest.
Oh, it's great. It's great, and that's what I appreciate about it. Now, he likes to say that that I have a background that's similar in that I was a part of the civil rights movement, and even though I didn't do drugs, I got arrested for trying to sit in, and that was when I was a student at Morehouse. So we play back and forth like that, but it's a great relationship.
That's great. That's great. Well, I definitely, before I let you go, I wanted to congratulate you for being honored in the Tennessee Healthcare Hall of Fame. I was wondering if you could say a few words about that.
Well, I've just learned about it recently. I know the Tennessee Healthcare Hall of Fame is new, and it honors people who have worked in medicine, public health, I guess, also in Tennessee. And so it honors the fact that I worked as president of Meharry for almost 12 years, but also that I have continued to contribute to medicine and public health. I'm honored because, as I said before, Tennessee has been a very important state in our lives. Our children consider this home, even though I've been all over the place, and we left here and went to Atlanta, then to Washington, but our children grew up here for the most part. And so this is sort of our home in that sense, and so it means a lot to me.
That's great. That's great. And now, if people want to learn more about the Health Leadership Institute, initiative. Is there a website, or is there where they can find
There's a Satcher Health Leadership website.
And that's fine. We'll definitely put the right address on the bottom.
But it's there, and among other things, you will find the Surgeon General's prescription. Now, I had been director of the CDC for 5 years before I became Surgeon General. So when they told me that I was the nation's doctor, I took that seriously.
Yes.
So I said, that means I got to have a prescription for the American people. And so in 1999, we released the Surgeon General's prescription about physical activity, good nutrition, avoiding toxins like tobacco, responsible sexual behavior, and dealing with stress. Those are the 5 things. No medication, but I guarantee you, if you follow that prescription, it will serve you well.
Great. Well, that's great. Once again, Doctor, I really appreciate your time today. And once again, you've been tuning into another episode of Take 10 on Tuesday with the Tennessee Tribune. See you next time.